You tell my supervisor to give me light gray paint. Apparently the guy was fired later that day. You can be walking along in this world, doing whatever it is you're doing, keeping your head above water, trying to make sense of our lives as it happens, and little things come along and trip us up, get us upset about something. It can be the color choice of somebody on a construction site, or it can be just the never-ending sense of impending, what's going on in this world, God? Why are all these strange things happening? About 20 years ago, I was in a small congregation, and I mean small, like on a really big Sunday when they had everybody there. There was 15 people. It was a multi-point pastoral charge, and it was an isolated little rural community. And there was a long-time member of the community who had been active in the church who had passed away the week before. And we were just getting over that, and we discovered that another family member of one of the families had developed a serious illness. There was a guy in the congregation. He was a bit of a big teddy bear. Could be a bit of a card. Amazing man, had a lifelong struggle with alcohol, but was working his way through it, had managed to rebuild so much of his life, and really understood sort of how to live life one day at a time. And he walked up to me after church this one Sunday, and he says, well, it's actually before church, I should say. And he says to me, we're really feeling it here. And I said, yeah, we are. He says, what this congregation needs is a pool party. He said, have everybody at my place at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And we did. We went to his place, and we brought food, and we had a pool party, and we reminded ourselves that in the midst of the tragedy, in the midst of whatever was going on, we had to recognize that there's a blessing in this life. There is something that lifts us up and holds us dear and helps us move on. And we had a great fellowship that day, and the mood shifted like that. Really interesting place. Community's name, by the way, was Pfälzen South. Good name, huh? Pfälzen South, it's German for Rocky South. And they were on a rocky shore of Nova Scotia. And they eked out a living in a rough way, but they knew how to pick themselves up in the light of a tragedy. They were not blind to the fullness of life, even when tough things hit. Bartimaeus is sitting by the side of a road, begging. Do you have any idea what that means? Do you have any idea what that means? Most of us hear those words and we don't even think about it. This is a man who, because he is blind, is considered by everybody else in his society an outcast. Because if he didn't do something wrong, somebody in his family did something wrong. And so he will be punished for all of this life because somebody sinned. He is not to be considered an equal with the dirt, let alone with another human being. What he gets to consume and eat in a given day is only what really rotten scraps get thrown in his bowl. And Jesus walks by, and the blind man says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Now, at that point in his life, Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, and even his disciples might have attested to something special about him, but not one of them had ever said, Jesus, Son of David, to him, and not one of them had ever recognized him for who he really was. But the blind man did. The blind man recognized God. God, when God is present, was recognizable to someone who should have been angry and upset with life, with the hand that had been dealt him. The man who should have been living his life with a sense of shame for what he had done wrong, maybe nothing. for what someone else in his family had done wrong? Maybe nothing, but by the time you're in that age and stage of life, you're convinced that I must have done something wrong or this would never have happened to me. Sees God. Sees God and sees God's presence and says, God, have mercy on me. And what happens? Only one person found new life that day. Only one person found new life that day. And it was Bartimaeus. The ones who said, shh, be quiet, don't bug him. The ones who tried to push him aside, the ones who tried to walk by him and ignore him. All the good, faithful people that tried to keep him in his place where he belonged, none of them found new life. Heard a thing on the other night, actually, talking with some friends, and we were going through a scripture passage. It was in my study group, and I'd never heard it before. It never hit me that in God we're not meant to turn over a new leaf. You know, I always say we got a new lease on life. Something happened, I got a new lease on life. I turned over a new leaf. I got a new beginning. No. We're not supposed to get a new lease on life. We're not supposed to get a new beginning. We're supposed to get a new life. From scratch, all over again, new life. Blind Bartimaeus got a new life. He didn't get a new life because he did anything spectacular in the human endeavor world. He didn't achieve economic, educational, institutional power or success. He didn't acquire the right material goods. He didn't work harder at anything. He didn't try harder at anything except for one thing. He recognized God's presence in the life he was living. Go like this. I've invited you to do it. I'm going to ask you to do it. Feel God. Because that's where God is. God isn't out there. God's not waiting for tomorrow. God's not waiting for everybody to stop dying or to stop doing terrible things or to stop hurting. God's not waiting for that. We're the ones waiting for that. God's here now, only asking us to recognize that in the midst of the pain, in the midst of the sorrow, in the midst of the sadness, in the midst of the evil atrocities we may do, God is still there. God still cares. Can I explain why bad things happen to good people?